Hello, welcome to your social studies lesson for Wednesday, April 22nd. All right, here's what we're going to do today. We are going to take a look at what happened after the Middle Ages, how before they originally had manners. So now we're talking about the M-A-N-O-R-S, where it was like a self-sufficient manor. They had the Lord, they had usually a chapel that was there, a church. They had where they had the fields for the serfs and peasants to be working it, and so it was basically a self-sufficient, almost like little town, little city, that type of idea. Now what's happening is with the Crusades that ended up having it, were kind of brought an end to the feudal system, and it introduced something called guilds, G-U-I-L-D-S, and that's going to be something we're going to explore today. So let's take a look at the document you're going to be working from. And in this document, you will have different links that you're going to be clicking on to be able to get more information. So this lesson is designed to be kind of a self-directed, step-by-step finding information journey for you. So I'm going to briefly comment on the different aspects of this lesson, but it is also designed in a way that you should be able to be fairly easy to be able to be self-guided in this as well, just following the instructions, reading the information. So the first part here, they're talking about medieval cities. And so if you click on this link, then what will happen is this page is going to show up here, and it's going to tell you about life in medieval towns and cities. And it's pretty interesting. You have it where you take a look at just some of the structures of it and what it would look like. You get an idea for the types of buildings that they had and how they were formed. Now, I think also one thing that's interesting is that the houses were made of wood. So fire was a constant threat for medieval cities and towns. Now, especially considering they're also so tiny and like they're clustered closely together. So that means if one house caught on fire, unfortunately, that meant that it could spread very, very quickly. What's interesting is they also this part here, so chamber pots, which you are also going to look at, that was emptied into the streets every single day. So that meant that if they have mud streets, which they did, then could you imagine walking around on that? And like, let's say if you have a good heavy rain, that can help with just kind of flushing all of it towards the river. Only problem is if it's a light rain, it just makes everything worse. You're just basically, it's gunky, it's gross, and trying to walk through it, I can't even imagine. So that means that not only are the streets, potentially disgusting, you're also having it where sometimes the springs and the wells can get polluted as well. So that means that the drinking water can become tainted from all the pollution from the chamber pots that are just building up and getting into their water system. And so what happened is they also looking at some of the social constructs as well. Things like how if you had a disease, it's viewed as a punishment, like a punishment from God, basically. So pretty sad as far as just sometimes the care that was taken of people who got sick. And then, yeah, it was a sad state. So going back here to this page, what you're going to do is you're going to provide me with 3 details on what living in a medieval city would look like. So I've given a brief overview of what this page has. Read that. And then what you're going to do is give me 3 details from that page. Then what you're going to do, especially with the part that was on sanitation and health, what problems did medieval cities face in terms of sanitation? And I already briefly discussed that, especially when it came to how all of the stuff that was being emptied from a chamber pot was just put into the streets where people were walking, and that could also get into the water sources. And if you click on the link that's here, it's going to take you to this to just give you a brief idea of what chamber pots would have looked like. I love how it's also called thunder pots because really it was either a chamber pot, which would be in the bedroom, or you'd have to walk outside to the outhouse to be able to go to the bathroom, especially if it was in the middle of the night and during the middle of winter. So chamber pots were something that were to help you be able to take care of your bodily functions without having to go outside to an outhouse whenever you need to go to the bathroom. Now, here is a video that you're going to be watching. And this one is going to be talking about guilds. And so when you're listening to that video, you're going to be reminded, or hopefully reminded, of what our labor unions look like nowadays. And so he breaks it down as far as what a guild is. It's a trade group. And you think that even if you were in a high school, and how you can have different clubs. You can have maybe a science club, a math club. You can have different athletic clubs that you can belong to, or like, let's say, think a chess club or a drama club or things like that. And so, and that's where you're in a club of people who have similar skills as you, and you work together to be able to hone those skills. So it's along those lines when you're talking about labor unions, or in this case, medieval guilds. And you're having it where it's different tradesmen that join together that have the same skills. Let's say bakers. All the different bakers in a town, they would come together to form a guild. And so he discusses all of that in the video and breaks it down. And so what you're going to do is, as you're watching the video here, you're going to then, you can always pause it, and you're going to take notes, and you're going to write your notes here. So please make sure, like always, where you do a file, you do make a copy, and then you have it where you put your name first, and then you put, after that, it should say Middle Ages Towns and Guilds. Last part here on the last page, you're going to have it where you click on this link here. It takes you to modern day guilds, which is our labor unions. And this article discusses how medieval guilds are a similar concept as labor unions, and also how labor unions kind of came from those medieval guilds. So you're going to read that. You're going to answer these questions here. And then, yes, I know it is a United States document here, but it's a similar idea to Canada. And then the last one that you're going to take a look at is, are unions good or bad? And this article takes a look at that, because there are some compelling arguments for both. That with a union, you get a chance to be protected as a worker. You get to have a chance to have your voice heard and be able to have a way to take a stand against different practices or decisions that are made by your employers. You have a way to be able to take a stand against that, to protect yourself. So it is a form of protection, and can help make sure that you are getting paid a decent wage, that you have good health benefits, and all of those, like safe working conditions. Those are all really good things that unions can bring about. But there are also things that can be problematic about unions, making it so that sometimes where the workers are making it so that employers are kind of stuck sometimes, that their hands are tied as far as how much they can grow and compete with other similar companies, because the unions might have it where they have certain things put in place that the employers can't go against. And sometimes those different practices that are put in place might make it so that it's not easy for them to grow, because maybe a good chunk of their money is going towards, let's say, the health benefits for the employees, or wages, or whatever it might be, rather than, and so then they have to then increase prices for their product, which then means that if they're increasing their product prices, they're not able to compete with other similar companies that have a similar product. And so unions can sometimes make it so it's harder for companies to grow and thrive in the market. But it also means that sometimes, if you are an employer and you have, let's say, an ineffective employee that's part of the union, man, it can be hard to get rid of them if if they're not really pulling their weight, they're really not doing anything. It can be hard for the employers to get rid of those employees because those employees are protected underneath the union. So those are some things that can be. There's also other things that this article mentions that are ways sometimes mean that a union isn't always the best thing. So you're going to have it where you read the entire article, and you're going to answer these questions. So I expect all 14 of these questions to be answered, and you're going to share your document with me for Monday, April, what would it be? I guess 27th. And so I want you to, again, read carefully and also listen to these videos and pause it, fill in your information as needed. Let me know if you have any questions, and share the document with cpeach@heritagechristian.ca. All right, thank you for watching, and I hope this lesson goes well. I'm giving this a try because I know this is a little more of like a self-directed, just kind of taking a topic and just breaking it into chunks where you either read an article or you watch a video and then you put that all together and answer questions afterwards. So hopefully it goes well. Let me know. Let me know if there's some parts of it that just don't make sense, or you're struggling with something, or if you found that it took way too long to be able to get through everything, because that's helpful for me to know just roughly how long things take to finish. All right, take care.